All right, so okay, I hit it. Okay, so in theory, we're going live. We're going live.
I was just
And
going to introduce myself to Connor before you went to live, but
it's
hey,
tokens.
man.
Tokens.
David.
Okay,
Tokens.
okay, we are live. Hello, move over kids, everyone. It is time on Sunday, 8 p.m. Well, 8:01 p.m. Give me a break, okay? Sometimes stuff happens. Anyways, it is time for the Sunday Night Podcast. We've got Rat Boy Collectibles, we've got William, we've got Bandana Gamer, we've got David, and then we've got ourselves a special guest today, very special, all the way from TikTok?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska, and TikTok. We got Tokens here. Tokens, let's just give a quick little plug, and then we'll probably come back around in the middle to talk more about your channel or whatever TikTok is, and then we will plug it again towards the end. But definitely want to talk about Zelda. So if you guys are just like tuning in, we are going to talk about Zelda, but let's talk about Tokens real quick. And your TikTok channel, what are you like? What is it about? What do you do?
Well, my TikTok channel is @TokensArcade on TikTok, which is also my Twitter handle, by the way. I am a retro game collector specializing in arcade machines and retro computers, so your Apple IIs and things like that. I've got all sorts of arcade machines from Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to the Nintendo Red Tent to Donkey Kong, some of which are literally outside my bedroom door. And I have the little so I love teaching about obscure retro game knowledge, a little bit of the technology of how they work, how to repair them. And I have the little added niche of doing a lot of them stuff while dressed as a fluffy, furry cartoon character. Also named Tokens. That's where the name comes from. Red Panda, by the way. And so I've got a decent
Hold on,
following.
wait, back it up. What's the deal with the Red Panda?
Well, it's what you call a furry fursuit head. It's just a character that I kind of like to personify. I mean, you can kind of see some of the resemblance with the hair in that. It's kind of like, I would say, me as a little fictionalized cartoon character that I'd like to dress up as when I'm doing some of my repair videos, and just to kind of, make people very confused because, they see, oh wow, cool retro. What is that? Why does it have fur? Why is it being so adorable on camera?
Why is it talking to me?
Yes.
How do you like use I've tried to take apart like Nintendos before. Like, how do you like grip a screwdriver or something with a paw?
Very, very carefully.
Okay.
It's like, you get used to holding a screwdriver with one of your fingers bound together or two of your fingers bound together in one of the fingers and things like that. I mean, okay, maybe to spoil a little bit, I don't do it everything on with it. I do some camera trickery.
Oh, lies.
No, I do a lot more than you think. When you do this enough, you get pretty good at it. In terms of pressing buttons, I will practice, if I'm demonstrating a controller, I will practice, like, how can I make this as convincing as possible, I'll dedicate time to do that.
Okay, very, very cool. Let's get back and talk about your channel a little later on. First, okay. I want to say Hardcore Retro Gamer, looks like it's Ronald's new handle. What's up? We got 3ST Threest. What's up? And Stip Patel. Hi, how are you? One more time though, your TikTok handle is what? Tokens?
At Tokens, sorry, at Tokens Arcade. TOKENSARCADE. That's also the same thing I have for on Twitter.
Okay, if you're able and you're have access to our chat, maybe you could throw it in there or something.
I put it in there.
That way people can do it, or even Ratboy Collectibles if you can do it for him. Anyways, okay, so there was a big Nintendo Direct. Are you a Nintendo fan, Tokens?
I would say I definitely am.
Okay, cool.
I only got highlights of the direct, but I think I could maybe talk about a few things. I'm not as much of a Zelda fan, but I definitely can respect the fandom associated with it, and I can see why you guys are so damn hyped.
Yeah, well, you're not a big fan of Zelda. Well, no one's perfect. Don't worry about it. We'll still accept you into our community.
Nothing against it. I just. Not my favorite thing.
Shame.
He gives me a hard time for my favorite Zelda being the black sheep of the series.
Yeah, well.
Zelda 2.
Okay, so anyways, the Nintendo Direct happened. That was the big news because I don't think they really advertised it. It was like tomorrow there's going to be a Direct, and then there was a Direct. And what did you guys think? What are your first impressions? We actually did impressions video on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it was, and we'll talk about it again in case anybody wasn't here for it. Thoughts? We've had a week to digest it. Anything?
It was interesting. There was some stuff in there that definitely is worth waiting to come out. Some stuff I don't know why they showed us. The DC superheroes, superhero girls. I don't know why they showed that in a direct.
Yeah, that one was the only thing was a little off kilter.
Well, I'm sure it has a fan base, but
It does.
Sure it
They,
does,
they've
but
done
that's
Zoom
the thing that they did a while
hamsters or
ago.
whatever before.
It's also, I mean, that's a Nintendo published game. Like Nintendo is the one publishing.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're publishing that DC game.
Okay, that's why.
I saw that. That kind of caught my attention. I was like, whoa. So Nintendo's definitely putting in some type of their own marketing into this game, which
It's
is
really weird
interesting.
they would take that franchise though, or any superhero franchise. I mean, they did it with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, but it's just weird when they go after like a real franchise, you know?
Yeah. But it's the same thing with a while ago where I think it was in one of the directs where they released that Bakugan thing, and then everybody was like, okay? Like,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
hyped it up like crazy, like it was going to be like Beautiful Joe 3 or something. But
I forgot that Bakugan even existed.
so did I.
I think a lot of us
until
did.
Yeah.
Until that direct.
World.
But then I like how after a couple days ago, the Blizzard thing releases, and then they put Lost fucking Vikings.
Lost Vikings.
I was yes, on the Switch. I was so happy.
I'm not sure if I played Lost Vikings before. What kind of game was that?
Side-scrolling puzzler is the only way that I can really explain it.
Yeah, like each character has its own special thing that it can do, and you need to use their different abilities to
Is it
get
like
through
Lemmings?
Yeah.
Is it like Lemmings?
No.
No,
No,
but
'cause
you
you're
do
free
have
moving.
the same thing of having to get these Vikings off of the spaceship without dying, so it's kind of the similar.
I don't know, maybe. But I know
Like
Blizzard,
Mario, that means had a baby.
Mario Lemmings had a baby.
Hmm.
Wouldn't that be the Mario versus Donkey Kong series, though?
Let's just go.
No,
to
that's
Nintendo.
All right, well,
you
my
thinking,
opinion on
you
the...
thinking of the minis? You thinking of the minis and the
Yeah,
Mario
that's
versus
what I was
Donkey Kong stuff? Okay.
My opinion on the direct is still the same. I thought it was disappointing, and only probably because I allowed myself to get so hyped for it, and so it's probably
Not
my
alone.
own fault. You know, say
So how long has it been since the last direct? It's
like
been
a
a while.
year and change.
It's been a while.
530 something days, I think.
I like how David's got it down to the
I'll
T.
break into a Rim song.
Sorry, my calendar. I've been crossing off the days here. So
Oh, hey, it's John again from your buddy from COD.
Spooky Daddy.
Spooky Daddy. Yes, I was trying to remember Spooky Daddy. Anyways, welcome, Spooky Daddy. What were your thoughts, David? Because you were at work and you couldn't say anything. But
I could hear your reactions though, which is cool. I work in an office environment, so I couldn't really react, but I wanted to be there in spirit with you guys, especially because it's been so long since the last one. But I mean, anytime Smash is involved, I'm over the moon. I actually didn't expect something so soon after Sephiroth, but
okay, you're our
it's
Smash resident, expert. What was your thoughts on what's her name, Pyra?
Pyra and Mithra. I'm not a Xenoblade fan, not because I'm against it, but just because it's a franchise that I have yet to get into. But I know how impactful that those games have been to the JRPG world, especially in Japan. And so I know that people have been clamoring for Pyra and Mithra. I know with Rex back in like November of 2018, right before pretty much when Sakurai revealed that the box theory was true, right? Whenever, do you guys remember all that? Whenever Incineroar and Ken were like the last addition to the base roster. He also revealed that same day that Piranha Plant was going to be a free fighter for fans, and also that Rex wasn't able to make the cut pretty much because it was late in production or something with like whenever Xenoblade 2 was came out, and from that window to the release of Smash Brothers, they were able to implement them or the way Sakurai wanted to. So, people essentially just discarded the idea that Rex could eventually come to Smash. And so he's a Mii fighter, which is really cool. But Pyra and Mithra are the characters that we're getting from Xenoblade 2, which is I think what people wanted. So that's really
I don't
cool.
think people wanted it. Like what
You don't
people?
think so?
Like maybe like the 3 Xenoblade fans out there, but like
I would say Japan definitely received it better than the West. I would say for sure. They loved the
I do
reveal.
have one question about it. Now, are they the same character?
Yeah. It's kind of like a Sheik Zelda from Melee type situation.
which
I'm
I
wondering,
miss,
are
and I
we
wish they
getting
would
an
bring her
amiibo
back
where
like
they're
that.
both connected to the same base?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe it's like a Game and Watch thing where you can switch them out or something.
I don't know. There was people that like showed like a mock-up of that both the characters were like backed up against each other, and they were both kind of like splayed out. So I think it looks like a cool idea for the amiibo if that's the way they do it.
Or they might
You
even
guys
do
go
player
home.
1, player 2 sort of thing as
Right.
I
well.
really
Player one,
hope
player
not,
two.
because those player 1, player 2s are really freaking hard to find
Yep.
and hard to track down. So I really hope not.
Tokens. If you could put someone in Smash Brothers, who would it be?
Who would I put in Smash Brothers?
By the way, I
let's
love
see.
your radio voice. You have such a radio voice.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll give you right back after these messages. If I were to put anyone in Smash, that's a funny thing. I don't think I've ever actually thought about it.
Well, I'll start thinking.
Someone really okay. If we're gonna let's touch someone obscure, someone who I think has a
Can't be so obscure that I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
I think my pick was
Pac-Man
obscure
can
for
be
him.
in. Then I'm gonna say Mappy from the arcade game Mappy. Mappy the
Good
police
choice.
mouse.
Good choice.
I had some arcade choices as well.
Yeah.
One of them being Dig Dug, or
I
as
would love Dig
called him
Dug.
later,
Dig Dug, yeah.
Taizohori.
I think in general, I think there's a lot of potential for a lot of arcade-based moves that I think are underutilized. Yeah, I mean, you could argue that Street Fighter's an arcade game, but I mean like classic. If Pac-Man could be there, then I don't see why Dig Dug couldn't be represented in there as well.
Well, I think Pac-Man is like. I mean, he more transcends into culture.
Yeah, maybe okay, fair enough. Fair enough for the recognizability.
Yeah.
I will say, even it did surprise me when I saw him, all those years ago get introduced. I just wasn't expecting them to take that direction, but I'm glad he's in there.
I'm glad they went the direction they did with the design of him as well.
Pac-Man instead
I still
of
want
like,
Miss Pac-Man though. Like I love Miss Pac-Man way more than Pac-Man.
Yeah, if
I'm
we could
so
get
surprised that they didn't add her as an alpha fighter, though.
Yeah.
It's because of she basically stemmed from a hack of the game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Still,
I know that.
Yeah, that's true, but like, A, most people don't know that, and B, it doesn't matter because they own the rights anyways at this point.
Well, isn't Miss Pac-Man? Aren't the rights for her not necessarily owned by Bandai Namco?
I thought they did.
I'm trying to remember because that's actually there for a while. It wasn't. I think for a long time it wasn't. It eventually did because they did make a. There was that Miss Pac-Man there was some Miss Pac-Man game on the GameCube, so it's not like they've never utilized the character. But you are partially correct. For a long time, because there was originally a fan mod called Crazy Auto that was so good it actually got the attention of Midway Namco. Not dissimilar to how Super Missile Command was hag that it's like, okay, we can the base of the higher ups of the respective companies went, okay, we'll give you two choices: we can sue you or you can come work for us. They took the latter. They changed it to Miss Pac-Man, but they never got permission from the original creator, so that's how that came to fruition. They did. I'm pretty sure they did eventually buy it, but I think there was some. I think there's still some I don't know.
There was something murky about it.
Something murky about where they just weren't a fan of it. It's like it's not that they can't; they just don't want to. I think is the issue.
I know the one-up game cabinets. I'm pretty sure there's.
Yeah, there was a big issue with that.
Yes, you are correct. You're right. They are.
And there was a similar thing with when they were working on the Intellivision games. They figured out a way to put voice in the games without using the voice synthesis module, and the higher up said, "Don't let that be known. Don't release that. Like we need to sell these voice modulators."
Yeah, 17 Balmer.
Exactly. Yeah, they figured out how to do it on the actual cartridge itself without the module. And like, no.
All right,
no.
so last person I got to get your reaction. Well, I guess I didn't get Token's reaction either to the what was your reaction to the highlights that you did see of the Nintendo?
You didn't get mine either, guy.
Oh, I know you just loved everything. Everything you saw, you loved it.
I'll admit, I was hoping for a little bit more Mario-related things. So, Mario was definitely my main thing. So, I was a little disappointed. I'd be interested to see like the Mario Golf. It does look like I've never actually played a Mario Golf game before, but this one does look like very. I don't know. I think they just did a good job with the visuals of that.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah,
Is your favorite Mario power up the leaf to become a raccoon because then he becomes a furry? Kind of. Is that like your favorite power up?
That'd be the
okay.
Tanuki
Like
suit.
there's something I gotta say about stereotypes and just assuming things, but I mean you're absolutely correct. Don't worry, I can take a joke. But it is something to be said about that. Although, quite frankly, just the whole experience of of Mario Odyssey, I just loved in general. But I am definitely looking forward to seeing things like Fall Guy. Between Fall Guys and I know this wasn't directly from the Direct, but Among Us, I'm really happy to see some very. Nintendo seems to be getting a little bit more quicker on the pace when it comes to
100%
games.
agree.
That's the one thing that I've noticed. That I remember it was cool when things like Undertale and oh my God, what's the Night in the Woods was released on the Switch, but they were still like a year or so, a year or 2 years, possibly. It was quite a while. Undertale took a while to come out on the Switch. But Among Us, technically Among Us has been around for like 2.5 years or so, but it only recently just exploded out of nowhere. But I mean, starting from when it became majorly popular to when it got ported, a lot quicker than I think Nintendo's been in the past, and seeing, Fall Guys, added to that too. I'm really impressed with how I think Nintendo, possibly as a result of, one could argue coronavirus, having, I think is having an impact on the indie games market where, people aren't going out to stores as much. There's not as much being released in the traditional, big companies term. I think it's given a little bit more spotlight for indies because they, since they're often, people in their own house doing these things, they're not going to be as affected by coronavirus and things like that as these bigger companies are. So I think it's really given a little extra spotlight to them. And I think Nintendo, as slow as Nintendo can be for a lot of things, I think they're picking up the pace in terms of like, okay, they've always had an indie section, but here it's just like games that are like getting attention. They're picking up the pace. So I'm really happy to see that.
That's a good point. I mean, Fall Guys wasn't it just a PS4 exclusive? Or PS5, PlayStation, whatever, exclusive?
It was a limited PS4.
Isn't it on the PC as well?
I thought it was only PC, so it shows how much
I'm pretty sure it was PlayStation, though, at least.
I know console-wise, it was exclusive to the PlayStation for a good bit.
But
it was
I like what he's saying, though, that the fact that Nintendo is getting quicker on the draw. So I think that is actually very valid. And hopefully it just keeps on happening. I would like to see, like, a huge, like, internet success of a non-Nintendo property, like, blow up, like Fall Guys or whatever. That'd be kind of nice. But regardless, so all right, Devin, Rat Boy, what was your take? How much did you love it on a scale of 10 to 10?
Number one, shut up. Number two, I was just happy to see No More Heroes 3 finally. The fact that we got a release date for it. Mm-hmm. And Mario Golf was really cool. And well, honestly, that's the only things I can really remember from it.
And apparently, the website for Mario Golf listed another character for the game that wasn't shown in the trailer, and that was King Babam.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But they've since removed that from the site,
which pretty much confirms that King Babam is going to be in the game. Then.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, No More Heroes 3 was really what tore it for me because I was so excited to finally get that, and then they delayed it. So, finally coming back.
Did they say when it was coming out?
August something.
Oh wow, August
I don't know
is really
if
a long
they gave
time.
a specific number, but yeah.
Hey man, I think August will be here before we know it. To be honest.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
It'll be July before we know it, and we'll be skyward sorting.
And yeah, that I'm actually really excited for that, and those Joy-Cons. My God, those things look cool.
I gotta say, like, it was the Skyward Sword was definitely like I should have like been ecstatic. The problem was
I want to explain one thing about that because when Ainuma got up on the screen, I could feel your heart go like this and then just straight to the floor.
Yeah,
I felt it.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, we don't got anything, but here you go."
Yeah, and like, it's my own fault. I allowed Nintendo to hurt me, and it's like, I just wish they would have said in the tweet, we're not going to talk about Breath of the Wild, because then I could have prepared myself, I could have hardened my heart and gone and saw Skyward Sword and been like, oh, wow, that's a pleasant surprise, and enjoyed it, But instead, I was just, wallowing in self-pity over the fact that Breath of the Wild 2 had just been denied me. And, and I'm going to say, Nintendo doesn't owe me Breath of the Wild 2, but I feel like they do. And so, I allowed myself to, I couldn't enjoy Skyward Sword, and I've wanted Skyward Sword for years and years. Literally, this is an answer to, many years of wishing Skyward Sword would come where I didn't have to play with the stupid motion controls.
And while you guys were complaining about the motion controls, they were announcing that you could do it without the motion controls.
Yeah, and it was just so this is literally, I have old videos where I'm like, why doesn't Nintendo just bring Skyward Sword and do this, blah, blah, blah. So I literally have videos of me just begging for Skyward Sword, and yet I couldn't enjoy the moment because I saw Numa, and I thought he was going to say, here's Breath of the Wild 2. It's been over a year.
I was half expecting them to announce the 35th anniversary and a collection.
Well, I saw some article, I forget where, that pretty much they said that Wind Waker and not Ocarina of Time. What's the other one? Twilight Princess are
there's two European sources that are it's coming, no matter what they say, it's coming.
But I do find it a little, well, I guess I see the point, because when Skyward Sword first came out, there's a bunch of people complaining about this, which never stops, because it had the Wii remote in there, and now everybody's like, oh, well, they released the game again, and there's a special controller. Why isn't it in the box? Okay, I still want those Joy-Cons. They look really pretty.
Yeah, I want them too, but there is something to say. Let's dive into that for a second. You've got no dog in this fight, Token. So maybe you can be a little more impartial to it. So here it is, a $60 game on the Wii years ago, and now they want to re-release it for the Nintendo Switch for $60. They just re-released a Mario 35th anniversary game that had three Mario games for $60. One of them was on the Wii, so that's $20 a game if you break it down. Now, do you think, and this is for everybody, do you think that it is too much that Nintendo should make it $40, Skyward Sword?
Absolutely, that's too much. Well, first, has it been confirmed what exactly this category? Because there's fine distinctions between, a from the ground up remake versus a port versus a enhanced version. Do we really know what would you say that this falls under?
Well, it probably falls in a gray area. It's definitely HD, so there had to be some kind of upgrades because the Wii was not HD. So right off the bat, it's HD.
New textures. Does it look like?
Yeah, definitely. I saw a video that it does look very clean compared to the old one.
I didn't think it looked that clean, to be honest, but I didn't really dive into it.
Technically, you can just put something in widescreen and just output something, because you can take a 32 by 32 image and put it through a 1080p, stream, and it's technically HD. It just means the stream is HD. Doesn't mean that the visuals are HD, but that's semantics. But
now this is where I think the real work came in. Hang on one second. The real work I think came into this in the fact that Skyward Sword on the Wii was completely dependent upon Wii motion controls.
Yeah.
This one has the option of either using the Joy-Cons as your Wiimotes, or you can use the just in normal joystick mode. There is still some kind of motion. The joysticks now are the things that are swinging instead of whatever. So they at least had to go into the mechanics of the game and rework it so people could use non-Wiimotes motion controls. So there is something. I also think
the game is going to be at least built a little better, because the Joy-Cons, whether we like it or not, are better than the Wii remotes.
I know you haven't experienced drift, but I have every single controller I've ever had has drift on it.
Besides the drift, I'm saying the motion controls, my guy.
But you try to use the motion controls, the drift still happens.
Okay, that hurt my brain. Oh
No,
my god.
the moment you turn on your remotes, your Joy-Cons, it goes wonky.
I still have my thoughts on that, but go on.
Just because it hasn't happened to you doesn't mean it hasn't happened
Yeah.
to 75%
had
of
8
Joy-Con
pairs of
holders.
Joy-Cons. 8 pairs. None of them. Not one.
That means you diversify your usage.
Well, still, no. Actually, I don't, because there's usually one set of Joy-Cons stuck to my Switch for months on end. I only just yesterday took my Animal Crossing ones off.
But to answer the question, I'd say it's hard. What's hard to say, not knowing that. Like here's my skepticism. Okay, because I don't know if you guys saw the technical videos that came out surrounding Mario 35th anniversary, where they did some really. How do I put this from as a professional, as a programmer at a at a place, I would say hackneyed is probably the most charitable way of putting it. Ways of implementing and porting, stuff where, it's like they literally just like just substituted a bunch of stuff and kind of had like, when Joy-Con is pressed, act like this in the emulation of the where they just translate Joy-Cons up to like emulation cues in whatever emulator they're using. I'd be curious. I have a feeling it's probably going to be something similar to that, given the previous track record. Maybe I'm wrong, or on that they're doing something kind of hackneyed for that, or maybe it's more expensive because they've actually gone back. But either way, a Wii game's still a Wii game, and it's the year 2020, and I think Nintendo is just getting a little bit, it's starting to make a little more sense to me. Well, as to understand why, not that I agree with it, as to why we don't have a traditional virtual console, as soon as I saw Mario 35th anniversary, it's like, oh, I get it now.
Okay, so
But
you're
then
saying,
it's
so
also
what do you think it should be for $40, $50?
Again, like it's not like they're going to advertise in the back of the box, like, oh, we spent exactly this much time doing this much of a rework like that, but. I would say, does it actually? The question for whether a remake deserves like that. I mean, because you got stuff from just straight up basically emulator on a cartridge to stuff like Final Fantasy VII. I mean, that's a fundamentally like. I mean, I haven't played a whole. I didn't play. I've seen and heard people describe of it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Final Fantasy VII remake is a fundamentally like. It may as well be its own game because they just reworked. It's not like they just took the code from the PlayStation and just putting a new code of paint. It's a build. From the not just from how the what the game is, but how the game plays. That's entirely justified. I would, but is there new features in it? Is there actual new game modes that actually add novel value? Do we have new story campaigns? And it's like.
Okay, let's go into the assumption that Skyward Sword. By the way, Calfman, thanks for joining that tier. Let's go into the assumption that, and this is for everyone. I'm proposing this to everyone. That Skyward Sword, the only thing they've done is now HD, and let's assume that it's not like mind-blowing HD, but it is cleaner at the same time, and they've allowed you not to use motion control, so they went in and changed the mechanics.
If
and
it's
that's
just
it.
That's it. Then no, it ain't worth 60. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
not worth 60. Now let me ask. Devin, is it worth 60? William.
I don't know how to feel about it. Everyone's hating on the price. I'm personally gonna spend it because I want to pick the game up.
The other part of it, dude. Nintendo always grabs us by the balls when it comes to nostalgia. There's always going to be somebody that's going to buy it. And Ken, you are one of them.
Oh yeah, I'll probably buy 3 of them because I'm a stupid idiot.
And the same thing with the Joy-Cons. I love the Joy-Cons and I like themed consoles. So I'm definitely
okay,
buying
but
it
I'm not saying are we going to buy it. I'm just saying are we going to complain
I'm just saying
about
they
it?
could have like you said, they could have priced that game at $70 and be like, yeah, okay, here you go. Like
I'm also on the side where I mean, like Tokens was saying, it's essentially the game has had quality of life changes to it, so it's not just a one-to-one port. I understand that, and I appreciate the quality of life changes, because at first I was like, well, it's just going to be motion controls, it looks like. But I'm glad that there is that option, because I think part of the reason why I didn't pick it up in the Wii was it was kind of late in the cycle, and I really didn't want to swing anything around, to be honest. But like with Mario 35th Anniversary 3D All Stars, that game with the 3-pack, I'm gonna buy it, and I will buy this.
Just
but-
make sure you do so before March or whatever that date is.
But
Well,
whether
those are going to be sitting there for a while.
I don't know if it's worth $60 a load. Personally, what I'm saying is, man, this is awesome. Thank you for bringing it to the Switch and all those QOL changes. But at least, God, it sounds bad, but at least do it with Wind Waker and Twilight Princess bundled in or something like that.
Okay, but,
I think
but
$60
Skyward
would be
Sword
down.
by itself, you say is not worth $60.
No.
All right,
What if they
Bandana?
pulled something like this though, and they later said, "Okay, here's a download code. Both Twilight Princess and Wind Waker come for free with the purchase of the Skyward Sword."
Yeah,
I know.
I would say, I'd say
William and I would
no.
have
It's
a fit about it, but
yeah,
It's gonna make William actually not buy.
he's like,
yeah,
"No."
pretty much.
I would have bought a single game on the cartridge, but how dare you give me comics?
No, they're doing that. That's probably how that Ninja Gaiden collection is going to be. It's going to be the first game on the cartridge, and the other 2 games digital downloads.
Bandana, is it worth it? 60 for Skyward?
No. I mean, it was a $50 game when it launched.
Was it 50?
No.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, it was a 50 of the
We-
games around that time were 50.
At the high end.
Oh, so,
Okay, I
so
thought
it went up $10. Nintendo,
And-
I love Nintendo and hate them at the same time.
It's
You know, they
appreciated
pointed out
value.
it was 80 with the Motion Plus Zelda controller. So now
Oh,
it's like
that's a good point too, because you had to get that other controller.
Joy-Cons, which the Joy-Cons are far more advanced technology. I understand that. But I mean, also I'm going to, hi, I'm Jonathan and I have a Nintendo problem. I will buy it. It's pre-ordered already.
I like how we're all like, oh, F Nintendo. Here's my
No,
money.
this has me wondering, since they're not packaging it with the other games of that era. I'm wondering if our 35th anniversary title that we're going to get for Zelda is going to be a 2-pack of the Oracle games remastered.
that would be cool. I've never played those. I would be behind that.
All right,
that
another
could be what
question.
we'll end up getting.
I got another question. Was Mario 35th anniversary game worth it? Because in that, what Tokens just said even backs up what other people have said, that it's not really like they didn't really enhance much stuff. They just kind of took these games and threw them on there.
Yes,
yeah, but I still say yes only because of the collector value of those games. Like, you cannot find Sunshine for under $60 anymore. Just not possible unless somebody.
And you're still being able to play the games and enjoy them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's like I'm not concerned with
You
them.
can still play Zelda Skyward Sword and enjoy it.
Yeah, but I'm
what's
not
the difference?
looking at them to just rise the graphics up to as best they can possibly be right this second and release it, and then have somebody instantly go, "Well, this looks horrible."
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not
There-
looking for them to do that.
There are some, like, I remember seeing a video someone made a line of what they thought like a 35th anniversary, or what like an HD remake of Mario 64 would look like, and it was cool from a technical perspective, but I feel like yes they could, but would you really want to have like modern looking Mario graphics in Mario 64? Or would it just lose all the charm? Like,
Yeah.
it would lose the charm for me.
yeah,
It's
like,
a fine line because they actually did the throwback Galaxy in Galaxy 2 10 years ago, where they emulated what's the name of Bob Battlefield
yeah.
from Mario 64, and they actually made it to where that small it just played different. I was there for the nostalgia factor. The music was awesome. Koji Kondo making like a new rendition of that classic song.
Was it
Um,
Swamp's Fortress? I think it was. Or was
Womp's yeah, I think so. Yeah,
wasn't there a thing where you could actually go inside the fortress in that game now?
I'm not sure.
Was it
Well, either way, though, you're getting off the point. Why is Mario Odyssey or the 35th worth it? Then, because we're all saying it's worth it, right, Bandana? You're the one that didn't answer.
Just barely.
I'm
Just
kind of
barely.
on-
Okay, but it's still worth it. It's worth.
I'm with Tokens. It's just It's just barely because it breaks down to $20 for $20 a game.
Okay, so that's how you're justifying that one.
I would pay $20 for each of those games.
So if there was two
And
more
the
Zelda
soundtrack
games,
thrown in for free.
if they had thrown in Minish Cap and Triforce Heroes with Skyward Sword, it would be worth it then.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, that's a vastly different thing. I mean, I would say you look at Ocarina.
Yeah, Ocarina Majora's Mask with like the Oracle games and
I'd be all over that.
Okay, so it would be
And
worth
Wind
it
Waker?
if it was some other.
every Zelda game in there, and yeah.
All right, now
even
okay, wait. Now,
Wild.
okay, what about Mario 3D World, where it is the exact 1-to-1 Wii U game, both HD, so it's not really that much of an upgrade in visuals. However, it does have an extra, like, I think 5 hours. Bandana, how long did it take you to beat Bowser's Fury?
2 to 3.
Okay, so it has an extra 3 hours worth of gameplay.
On top of how much was the original?
$60.
Yeah.
No, the original, how much original time would it for the main game?
Oh, 4 to 5. It was a fun game, but I would definitely say that wasn't worth 60.
I think I'm in the third world right now. I've been taking my time with it.
I've been taking my time, but I'm also
I think it's more than a 3-hour game, like the other portion of it.
That game is like I almost feel like it was intentionally made somewhat simple, but it's also not at the same
Hey,
time.
Tampa Bay Trade Day.
I'm trying to 100% the game, and I only just got to the 6th world, and I'm riding along. But
yeah, they're trying to capitalize on the new Super Mario Brothers. I mean, that is very much new Super Mario Brothers 3D.
Well, let's just pretend that it was worth $60 on the Wii U, because that's how much it came out for. It was worth $60 on the Wii U. Is it worth $60 on the Switch with only a 5-hour add-on game?
I'd say maybe.
I'm trying to see what, like, because we're all
Triple
all these are
asterisk.
like, huh?
Triple asterisk, maybe I would say.
Maybe.
I mean, for me, I played Mario Land. 3D
He's
Mario,
got my vote.
because I played Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS. I never played World. I didn't have a Wii U. I know far more people that had 3DS than they did Wii U's. Let's just be real here. Like, because I might buy it because I think I could. You know, the Bowser's Fury stuff does look genuinely interesting, but like I play 3D Land. Because they're very similar games, World and Land. But it's like it was a good game. I can't say I had anything wrong with it. It's just it was a Mario game. It was a 3D Mario game, but it didn't. You know, it felt very generic. I'd say compared to other 3D game Mario offerings in the years before and since, if you know what I mean.
So I'm just trying to see all these scenarios where like Nintendo releases this game and it's like, yeah, that one's worth it, but that one's triple asterisk, but that one.
I mean, they used to give us
yes.
this for fun.
We gotta accept that it's just not. It's not
Yeah, it's done, dude. We're getting water bottles now.
Nintendo has a way of like for
I
me
love that water
personally,
bottle.
they know how to like keep me surprised and also not surprised at the same time. Like the way that I think Zelda 35th anniversary would have panned out is different than the way it is panning out, you know? And at the same time, when I look at that reality, it's like, well, of course it's, you know, it's Nintendo.
What if there is no Zelda 35th though? Just what if there isn't?
If they don't do it for their second most famous like IP, I would be very surprised, number one. And number two, we only just got here. Give them time. I feel like there's going to be a direct completely devoted to it.
I think today, I think it was
that.
either today or yesterday is the actual 35th.
But
when did they announce the Mario collection?
Exactly. Did they do it on the day of? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So I have a feeling that if they're knowing how they made the Super Nintendo Classic and the NES Classic, we're gonna get another Game & Watch. I would be willing to bet money on that. Don't you agree?
That would be a little harder because it had the flip. The Zelda Game & Watch has the flip, so it would like in essence,
I like how
called.
David has David's got the Japanese one.
I just re-released the DS.
Yeah.
No, but in any case, I have a feeling. I don't know if they would model it specifically. I want to know what all you guys think about that. Would they model it off of the Flip one, or would they just make another Game and Watch similar to the same one that we already got, but with like Zelda 1 and 2 on it?
Oh, okay. I thought you were
Probably
saying
that,
they would release the Game and Watch game.
No, I'm saying like, yeah, make a new Game and Watch directed around Zelda and put like Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and something. I don't know. But what would you guys think?
That sounds pretty plausible, I would
That'd be
say.
awesome.
That would be when they announce all the information for Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, but I don't know. Would you guys think that they would remake the sandwich style one, or just make it as a small little?
They'd
device
probably
like
just make it exactly. They would just mimic the Mario one that you.
The closest I could maybe see them trying is something like, I don't know, emulating the flip screen version by having you play the single screen version on its side, or something like that.
I feel like it would be
That's like
too small
it.
though.
Yeah, you're probably right. But that's because you're essentially at that point you're like, oh look, Nintendo made a DS in the year 2021.
But my question also is like, look at the stuff that we got for the Mario 35. We got like the battle royale game. We had like all the physical items that they were
real quick. Calfman is trying to get Bandana's attention in the chat. He wants your friend code or something so you guys can play something. So go on.
I apologize.
But what other physical items were released for Super Mario 35?
Super Mario 35. It was the I don't know if Mario Kart Circuit qualified, but that was released. Then there was the online game Battle Royale Mario 35th, and then there was obviously the 3-pack, and I think that's it. I'm trying
to think, because I would assume, at least with the way we see Nintendo doing things, they would probably try to structure it similarly. Like, we're going to probably get like a battle royale style Zelda game, although I have no idea how they would implement that, but I could see it working, especially if they used William's favorite with Zelda 2. But I would assume that they're probably going to do something similar. What would you guys think?
Battle Royale Zelda, how would that work?
I think it'd be pretty easy, actually, because they would just have to do it like
Zelda with bombs and with Octoroks being added, added to other people's screen and other enemies.
It's likely how
I actually think that would be really neat and like hard to do. I mean, hard to play, I should say.
Yeah.
The fact that they could make Mario Battle Royale, I think they could do it with anything at this point.
Yeah.
And Tetris. Yeah. Mario and Tetris. Like, how are you going to do that? Oh, that's how. Brilliant.
Who Wants to Be a Billionaire has a Battle Royale mode.
Right.
And Ken, Hardcore Retro Gamer brought up pin sets for Zelda 35th. And I wanted to bring up
if someone tries to get in front of me.
I wanted to bring up the situation with the pin set number 2 for Mario.
What?
That
no, the people that tried to get the first.
Actually, hold up 1 second. Hold up on that. Yes. We're like almost done with this. I want to talk about Tokens channel one more, again, real quick.
Okay.
Can you just like plug your channel real quick again? What is your about? I don't care if you even repeat what you said earlier.
And I'm a furry who does retro game content. My channel is Tokens Arcade, TOKENSARCADE on TikTok and Twitter. I like to cover sort of the more oddball and obscure things where I like to mix between the the basic, here's something about the NES or something like that a lot of people know, but then I go into more obscure stuff like the Vectrex and the Nintendo Red Tent. Arcade machines, and then some of my videos are a little more technical where I've showed solder work of an old IBM PS2 computer, and then there's just videos of me just acting like a goddamn goofball while wearing the fluffy boy right there.
Why do you do it on TikTok and not YouTube? Like, why should somebody go to TikTok?
Why did I do it on TikTok? Well, for one thing, I am one of those people who has way too many hobbies and interests that I cannot between the retro games and cooking and the first. I have a lot of different interests, so it's like I can't. I've always had trouble of even between my retro game, juggling between arcades and retro computers and consoles. I have a lot of things that I have to juggle, and I find that TikTok its short form format allows me to produce about as much quality content as I could in the limited time that I have to, juggle between my various interests. So it just really, plus with my, ADHD attention span, I'd say it's a very suitable platform for me and the type of content. I have considered YouTube several times, just because like there have been sometimes I've really run up against the limit of the 1 minute clock. That being said, I've never done to like, oh, hey, totally like for part 2. I don't do that. If there's a code of conduct, I'm not gonna break. It's the hey, like for part 2 with it's like when I make a minute, I utilize when I'm talking really fast about how the Nintendo Red 10 features these different features of the of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, but with all sorts of features that make the games harder and more of a coin guzzling experience. I use every second of that 60 seconds that I'm given to my advantage.
Gotcha. Okay. Final question for the moment. We'll try to plug you again at the end, but if to give people a peek into your head, what are your 3 favorite games of all time?
That's such a broad question because you go from PC to arcades and things like that.
Okay, then just how about Nintendo?
Nintendo games. I really liked Odyssey. It's a game that I think every Mario game has its thing, but I'm actually disappointed. I think our Mario Odyssey is ironically underrated. As weird as that sounds to say, it's like you compare it to say a Sunshine and Galaxy. I just and 64. A lot of people kept talking about that. I don't hear people talk about. Everyone liked Odyssey when it came out, but I don't hear people talk about it as much after its release. I feel like compared to the previous major Mario 3D games, it's like Odyssey did so much different that just when I realized you could take control of the T-Rex and all those, the amount of times the game just it's a game that kept surprising me every step along the way. I'm just like, they're gonna do this. They're going that. Where the fuck are we going? It's a game that kept me on its toes, and I don't know. It just seems like everyone liked it. I've never seen anyone talk bad about it, but it just seems no one really talks about it. A couple of years after its release, I'm not hearing people clamoring for a sequel to it. In the same way that people did for Galaxy, and I really don't know. So I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, like that Odyssey was underrated, but I hope that makes sense to you.
It does. I actually never considered that, but given your your justification behind your reasoning, it's sound reasoning. I wouldn't have before this. I wouldn't have considered it underrated, but now that's something I'd have to think about.
Yeah, because it still felt like a Mario game. Like everything I would want out of a Mario game was there, and it still felt like part of the Mario universe. But it felt almost like a nice subversion of it. Where it's like it felt like it kind of broke the fourth wall, but not in like a Monty Python type way. It felt more like the fact that you're jumping between these where it's like acknowledging the fact that Mario isn't a human in the same way that humans are human. Just so many things that just seem so the fact that I don't know. I just felt compared to even though the painting concept of jump between paintings, I think that technically started with Mario 64, obviously, but I felt that Odyssey did a better job of illustrating that those paintings, because the stuff that happened in the painting worlds in 64 only seemed to happen in you don't know, were the things in the paint, were those actually part of the same universe, or did the universe just exist within the painting? Here in Odyssey, it shows that the worlds are interconnected and they intermingle. And when I saw, someone, hey, you're from that universe, appear here, I don't know, it caught me in a way, and that really excited me. And I don't hear many people talk about it as much.
Yeah, I mean, if you think, I've just been thinking about, it's like, yeah, you look at Breath of the Wild, I mean, definitely myself, but other people are clamoring for the sequel, while you don't really, you're not really hearing a lot of people. You're right. You bring up a lot of valid points. I like that.
Okay. So that was a lot of stuff for one game. In terms of, I'll throw in an arcade machine now. Now, I will say Galaga is my all-time favorite arcade game. It's not one I personally own. It has a lot of nostalgic value for me, not just because it is a cult, a cult classic. It's a classic, but it was the first game for me that I played when I was a kid, and I really understood what the game was. Because they're just playing games. I'm sure we all remember when we were like 3. Your older brother gave you the control, or someone gave you the control, and you mash buttons in it. But Galaga was the first game I observed my dad playing it. I observed him. Oh, he's doing this to avoid the bullets. He's doing this to make sure he gets the the double shot. It's like it was the first game I really started to understand mechanics of, and that really And now it's a game that I can pop off, 100,000, 150,000, in my sleep, basically. So it was really a first game that, like, I really understood how a video game worked, mechanically speaking.
Yeah, I think one of my first Macaulay Culkin moments like this in video games was when you get the double shot, and that was so cool because my dad he's never really played many video games console wise, but he played a lot of arcade games growing up, and the Namco line specifically, Dig Dug, Pac-Man, Galaga, and like when it comes to console games growing up, I mean, he literally bought me a GameCube and he called it an X Cube for the longest time. Maybe he did it on purpose just to kind of show what kind of, how he doesn't care about video games. But the moment that we go to Dave & Buster's or whatever, and he gets on a Galaga arcade cabinet, the man's just like in his element, and he's owning it. And same thing with Pac-Man as well. It's timeless,
Yep.
Okay, and then if you don't have time for one more, we can continue on.
Okay, let's William, tell about your pin set, but make it quick because we got 9 minutes.
All right. So, no, I'm sure as people remember, trying to get pin set number 1 was a huge pain. It was, people trying to get in there, trying to get their code, trying to get the code to work on the shop to even be able to put the pins into your cart to be able to. Yeah, I think some of us spent like a couple hours trying to get the sets, and I think
3
David,
hours
you weren't.
for the first one, and I think 4
David,
hours
I think you weren't able to get yours, the first set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, second round of pins, they put up the missions for it, and the missions were just some people didn't have enough missions, so they weren't going to be able to get the pin set. So they put up the pin sets 2 hours before the direct. And John, you were there in the chat, like, well, check like 10 minutes before they even go up, because that's what happened with the first set. So, yeah, sure enough, 10 minutes before, the site starts screwing up. So it's showing that the amount of missions you've completed keeps changing each time you refresh. So it would normally say it was complete. It would go to, 1 out of 15, 8 out of 15, 3 out of 15.
That's what kept happening to me.
Yes, for everybody, it was doing that.
I mean,
So,
I
go
did
ahead.
look out, like, while it was obnoxious, and I'm not going to take away, like, that was a pain. Like, once they got it fixed, getting the code and getting the pin set was way easier to check out.
Well, yeah, it flowed right through afterwards.
But it's a matter of how many people actually realized when it got fixed and were able to go back and get their pin sets.
Probably not a lot. That's why it probably flowed so easily.
Because I sat there and I don't know. I think
I think the people who are going for the pin sets are the people who kind of. I mean, if you even know about the pin sets to begin with, you're kind of like in a higher like
IQ level.
Yeah, IP level. I wouldn't say like intelligent. I would just say you're in the know more. You're like you are already seeking this stuff out. It's not like my kids would never know about this, and they like Mario. My mom would never know about this. My brother-in-law would never know about this. Only I would know about this. Even my group of friends wouldn't even know about this, and they all play video games. Only I would know about it. You know what I mean? So I think that that the people who were like originally seeking it, they probably would have stuck around until it got fixed.
I think I've seen it come back. Like, I think they sold out initially, but I think they've come back. And Nintendo is apparently still adding missions.
I'm actually
did they add more missions?
I think so. I think I saw something about that on Twitter.
Well, it's probably a good thing to keep an eye on, because if they are going to do something for Zelda 35, get them done.
Hey, I just came up with another question. Okay, so Skyward Sword is not worth 60, right? But is Breath of the Wild 2 worth 70?
Okay. I mean, that's a valid point, because if we're going on the whole argument of, are we getting a new world? Is it the same map? Stuff like that. I would probably say no, honestly.
Okay, then was Breath of the Wild 1 worth 70?
With the way they rebuilt it, I would say yes.
So they added one more mission. It's an in-game event for Animal Crossing that starts on March 9th.
Okay.
David, I want your answer to my question, though. Is Breath of the Wild 1 or 2 worth 70?
You said like a 2-pack is what you're saying?
No. I'm just saying.
That's the first game.
Let's say, is Breath of the Wild 2 worth 70?
Oh, 2 as opposed to 60 for some reason?
Yeah. Because we all said that Skyward Sword wasn't worth 60. So I want to know if the next installment of Zelda is worth 70 then.
70. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's very confident.
it is because it's not a 10-year-old game. And I know that sounds like an oversimplification of things, but it's like we're literally foaming at the mouth. You almost had an aneurysm because they didn't reveal anything on Wednesday. And
I've been writing poetry all week.
It's supply and demand, like we're just craving information on Breath of the Wild 2 to the point where, like, if Anuma was like, hey man, 3 months early, but you got to pay like $500,000 like now. You're gonna be like, yeah, and then you're gonna come back and be like, hey man, you got more of that Zelda. So,
Bandana, is it worth 70?
I mean, if Demon Soul, a remake of remaster of Demon Souls is, I mean, I would have justifying paying 70 because I'm just not there. But I mean, that's the set retail we're going with games as we get into this new generation.
Have you played Tokens? Have you played Breath of the Wild 1?
Yes, I have. I never beat it. There were just a couple. I'd be willing to give it another shot, but I really liked it. But the things that made it annoying just.
What made it annoying? Because I'm like absolutely in love with that game.
I know it's cliche, but the weapon breaking. Like, okay. I'm sorry. I get okay. What did they say? Because they wanted to encourage people to try all sorts of different weapons. Uh-huh. I wouldn't mind it breaking so much if it were like there was an easy way to repair them or something. But I found myself in so many situations where I would, be without. I'd use a weapon on a boss or something like that and be out. I don't know where to go find an immediate replacement for one. There was just something. I mean, maybe someone who was more experienced with the game, but like I got through like one of the first major. It's been a while. Whichever the figure you fight with the shark guy.
Shark guy.
It's been like 2 years since I played it.
Are you talking about Prince Sidon?
Yes. Shark guy. I remembered him more visually than name wise.
No, that's fine. I'm just a Zelda snob, so I'm just laughing at the peasants.
But it's like, I'd be willing to give it another shot, but like it's one of those things where I wanted to keep going, but the few annoyances that were there just dragged it back. If that, it's like I wanted to keep going, but I just couldn't quite go for there. It's not. I don't think it's a bad game. Not at all. I thought it was a fantastic game. I thought I had a great experience with it, but the inconveniences that in some of the mechanics just kept me from finishing it, if that makes sense.
It does.
I do agree there with the weapon breaking because I had a nightmare situation where I was going up against a Lionel and then my weapon broke right in the middle of it. I'm like, oh God, like I gotta run.
That happened so many times. It's like,
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I just don't like prescribe to it because I'm just like, I kind of liked that the weapons broke because it made it harder. And I wasn't really used to a Zelda game this level of hard, but it wasn't the level of Demon Souls hard at the same time, so it was like that level of hard that I want a game to be challenging and yet not impossible, or not where I have to take a week off so I can beat one dungeon. Mm-hmm. But I understand where you're coming from at the same time. I just don't prescribe to it.
But plus, I think we've all had games that we like but never beat. I mean, Skyrim.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a doll, I've definitely known plenty who never beat Skyrim but love the game.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, it is 8:00. I saw a couple comments. I have been reading the comments, guys. I just we were really engaged today, so I apologize for not really commenting back and forth with you guys. Jonas, I see he asked, or she, I don't know who, but they asked if we're gonna get a 35th anniversary today or tomorrow. I doubt it, but probably I do think this year there will be something, because Zelda has become, I wouldn't say Nintendo's flagship franchise, but after Breath of the Wild, it definitely has become like a heavy, like definitely number 2. Like no question, it's number 2. Unless you include Pokemon, but I think Pokemon's kind of separate, even though Nintendo does own a lot of it. And then Are You Looney? There is probably going to be DLC content for Breath of the Wild 2. So if we're talking more than 70 anyway, as I see it, that DLC being at least $20. That's a good point. I asked, is Zelda worth $70? And yet I ultimately paid $80 for it so I could get the DLC. So that is a good point. And then and then Breath of the Wild 2 would be worth it if it came out with letter. Oh yeah, well, if it's going to come out with a collector's edition, I mean, we paid $150 for the master edition. So I don't include master editions. I'm saying the standard edition isn't worth $70. But we got to get going. One last time, tell me about your TikTok, and then we will cut it.
All right, Tokens the name, Arcade's the game. Tokens Arcade, TOKENSARCADE, at TikTok and Twitter.com. If you want to see information about obscure retro consoles, arcade machines, and a little bit of fluffy furry stuff over there, I'm the guy to go to.
All right, and Bandana Gamer Calfman is asking, how can I contact you? How can I reach you?
I just put my friend code in the chat somewhere.
Okay, so his friend code is in the chat somewhere. William, Ratboy, David, any final words?
No, good. Not really.
All right. Well, I always enjoy talking Zelda, and I always enjoy talking with a new person to get their perspective on things. So, Tokens, I do want to extend my heartfelt gratitude for just taking an hour and a half out of your time and joining us to just be a nerd.
I had a fantastic time. I mean, with quarantine right now, it's hard to be a nerd around. You know, it's
exactly. So if nobody has anything else to say, I will just say it's dangerous to go alone. Please share this channel, this podcast, and Tokens TikTok channel with a friend. And we will see you next week, 8 o'clock. See ya.